All right, so normally we don't do a personal reading journal on Thursday, but this is an example that I want you to write in your pink personal reading journal. So get out your small pink notebook and you're gonna write this down. This is an example of how to do a personal reading journal, and it's also a way for us to catch up on what happened in The Lightning Thief before we start reading more of it. So every Wednesday and every Friday when you read your Black History novel, you're going to do a personal reading journal. You start with the title of the book, which you underline. You write the author and the date. So today is about The Lightning Thief. So I wrote The Lightning Thief, I underlined it, I wrote the author's name, Rick Riordan, and I wrote the date, Thursday, March 3rd, 2022. So remember, the first part is 3 sentences about the main character. So we already met Percy. This is chapter 5 that we're on now. So you don't want to just keep giving the same information that you already gave. You want to give new information. So in chapter 5, what's happening with Percy? Percy is recovering from the fight on the hill. He is sad because his mother is gone. He needs to learn about this new place called Camp Half-Blood. So, you don't want to reintroduce him. You want to give more information about what is happening with that main character just based on what you read that day and the day before. So, you got that, right? Now, pause the video if you need to make sure that everybody has already written this down before I move the board. All right, so once you're done that 3 sentences, then you do 3 sentences what happened in, the events of the story, the events of chapter 5. So chapter 5, Percy and Grover see Mr. Brunner, but it turns out Mr. Brunner is really a centaur named Chiron. That's an event that happens. He tells Percy that the Greek gods are real. The camp director, Mr. D, is really the god Dionysus. So, these are 3 sentences telling the events of the story. So it's not just focused on Percy, because that's paragraph 1. Paragraph 2, events. Remember to pause the video to make sure that everybody has this written down before you move on. All right, and then 3 sentences, what did you think about the story? So this is where it's your turn to say, I think this, I feel this, I was surprised, just your reaction to the action of chapter 5 or whatever chapter it is that you're talking about. So it must have been hard for Percy to believe that the Greek gods are real. I don't think Mr. D is very nice because he insults Percy. I was really surprised when Mr. Brunner turned out to be Chiron the centaur. So this is all my thoughts about the action. Make sure that you've got this written down, so pause the video if you need to. All right, the last part of your personal reading journal is always 1 sentence. What do you think is going to happen next? So what's going to happen in chapter 6 of The Lightning Thief? I think Percy will meet other kids at this camp and hopefully find out what happened to his mom. I don't know, I haven't read chapter 6, but once I do, I'll find out if I'm right. So what you need to do when you do your own personal reading journals is make sure that each one is different, because you should have read at least 1 or 2 days worth of book. So don't repeat yourself from your last personal reading journal. You want to write about new stuff each time, new things that you learn about the main character, the new events that you just read about in the book, the new thoughts that you have about the events of the book, and of course, your prediction of what's going to happen next. When you finish your Black History book, then you need to hand it in, and then Kenny will give you a new book to read, and you'll read that one instead. All right,